Hello, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Bite Size Cybercrime, the podcast where we discuss cybercrimes and cybersecurity news. This week we'll be talking about some fines against Google for a couple different violations. The French Data Protection Authority fined Google the equivalent of $378 million for violating cookie regulations and for displaying advertisements between emails without the consent of users. Shein, the fast fashion giant, was also fined the equivalent of $175 million for violating those same cookie rules. A cookie is a small piece of data created by a web server that you are visiting that's placed on your device by your web browser. Cookies hold all sorts of data about your session browsing the site. For example, if you enter your password, there's a cookie saying that you're logged in, and it allows you to access your account data. On shopping sites, cookies can also remember items you viewed or things in your cart. Of course, there are also advertising and analytics cookies that collect data on you and that can be sent to third parties. Generally, if a website asks if you want to use cookies, it is asking for consent to use those third-party cookies. Some cookies are essential, however, but those are not. The issues with Google and Shein is the way they were activating these analytics cookies in the browser before gathering the explicit informed consent of the user, and also making it really difficult to get the informed consent and to actually turn off those optional cookies. The French Data Protection Act requires informed consent for when these cookies are placed. Google violated this by requiring the placement of advertising cookies in order to access Google services without informing the user. This is not the first time Google has been fined for this either. They've been fined in both 2020 and 2021 for similar cookie-related breaches, and in 2022 for complicating the process of declining tracking cookies, as it took multiple clicks to even be able to do this when, really, most websites make it so that it's one click, and that's how the French Data Protection Authority thinks it should be as well. The second fine has been a source of extreme annoyance to me, and this is for advertisements within Gmail. If you don't use Gmail, Google places ads within the promotion and social tabs of your Gmail inbox that look exactly like regular emails. And if you think it's an email and go to delete it, you end up clicking on the stupid ad and getting redirected to a website you don't care about. I have an ad blocker on both my phone and my PC, and these for some reason seem to bypass it completely. So in other words, I'm really happy to see Google get fined for this personally. Anyways, the issues that the French Data Protection Authority had with these advertisements was also a lack of consent for users to receive the ads in their personal emails. These aren't normal, spam emails you get because you signed up to a mailing list and you forgot about it. These are just straight up sponsored ads placed in here that you never signed up for or asked for in any way. So, Google was fined quite a bit of money. The question is, will this change anything? And the answer is no. It probably will not. Not only has Google been fined for the same thing almost every year, but on estimate, Google generates about $756 million a day. It takes less than a single day of business to completely negate this fine, and Google likely considers it an increased operating expense in France rather than something to be concerned about actually fixing. When the fine fails to adequately hurt Google, it's just a minor blip that may happen once a year. Unfortunately, I don't see this changing much until the fines become a bigger concern to Google. Maybe that makes me a pessimist. It just makes me kind of sad that we've willingly surrendered so much personal data to tech giants like Google, and that's something really difficult to come back for because they're not going to want to give that up. And so much of life in this era necessitates the use of similar tech giants like Google and Microsoft. You either have to find an alternative that you like, or just kind of accept that nothing is private anymore. And even if you find an alternative, well, you're still probably using Google services in some way. I will say though, I really do hope to see changes in the ways that we allow corporations to take our personal data. I think there has been some slow progress towards this, though I'm not sure how long it's going to take to change this, or if it's even ever going to happen. Google definitely has been having it a lot rougher lately in terms of regulations, narrowly avoiding being forced to sell Chrome, and getting hit with fines from other regulatory bodies about multiple different things relating to advertisements. One thing I found interesting is that if Google does not stop showing ads within Gmail without consent within 6 months, they may end up facing daily fines, though these are also rather minor compared to what Google makes in a day. A little over 117,000 US dollars. Still, this may add up and not be very lucrative compared to the regular costs of just operating in France. So change may come, at least for French users. Still, I'm hoping with some of the mounting pressure against Google for different data violations that maybe change will come. But what do you think? Is it too late to change the way that we allow our data to be collected? Is Google ever going to change the way they do this for the better? Thank you to the Hacker News, Bleeping Computers, Security Affairs, and cybernews.com for information on these fines, several different fines against Google as of lately, and some of the implications behind them. And of course, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Bite Size Cybercrime, and until next time, stay secure.